Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to use tools just to get you acquainted with. Here's where you set the shading, and let's assume I select these three and extrude along axis. Maybe select those adjacent points and just do something like extrude along normal. Uh, so let's go ahead and build a tail over there. Let's say let's draw a curve here and select the poly here, the last one, and extrude along. Whoop, extrude along curve this time. Gives me this. Let me add some more subdivisions. Play with the inset as such. So this is the general workflow, and obviously everything is contained in the operator stack, and I will show you the operator stack, which is very powerful with Softimage. Um, so here we are. So everything I'm creating is building in the stack. So if I want to freeze the modeling stack, I can do so right here just by clicking freeze M. If I want to freeze everything, I'll click freeze. So the power is where, let me just create a very quick, um, let's get into some rigging. Okay, and so that's a 2D chain. This is a chain we usually use. If I just create one here for the limbs and stuff, this is you've heard of the term IKFK. This is in fact FK, forward kinematic, and this is IK, this is inverse kinematic. So usually we use IK as such for the legs and forward kinematic for the arms. So what I just did here is in fact build an IK chain, and let me just envelope it or skin it to let me envelope my scorpion, let's say that's my scorpion, to my actual chain, and let's go to animate, envelope, set envelope, yes, there we go. And now I can select my chain to modify my little rig here. Obviously it's not great. Now here's where the power is. I can play with the weighting on this element, and also you notice that the envelope operator is above here in the animation stack. I can do some I can move some points and stuff, and specifically tell those where I want them to reside. Let me just focus on my, there we go, it's putting them in here. So I can tell that to go in the secondary shape, to be done after the envelope, for instance. And that gets very, that's really important, to be able to move stuff in here because it makes your building capabilities pretty much limitless. So that's one of the important features. You'll never really be stuck in a serious bottleneck inside Softimage, I find, and it's the workflow is really fast. Let's keep moving. Let's build something like a little tank, just so you can understand the some rigging and the kinematics perhaps involved. Let me build the treads on this view over here. I'll make like a little, kind of like a cartoony tank, really fast. Mhm. Uh, yeah, this is I won't lie to you, this is years of experience. Um, uh, Especially when I find modeling doesn't interest me too much, because it's almost like it's pretty easy. Especially I find with Softimage, it's pretty intuitive. Animation is really, I mean, Softimage is built from the ground up to do animation from day one. That's what it's known for. Also, I really love the rigging tools. I find them really simple. And here's a simple demo on the animation features if you want. So I'm gonna make just a cube, very small cube. and let me duplicate that, edit, duplicate, not clone, but edit, duplicate, and I'll duplicate it multiple, let's say how many copies, let's say 39, because there's one there already. So I have 39 cubes there. I want them to be dispersed on the curve itself. So let's use a constraint to curve as such, and I'll enable the tangency so it follows the curve itself, and I'll also enable the up vector, and that'll fix the roll issue that I had there. And here's a neat little feature. If I tell it to linearly place them between, so here all of those cubes, which are, there's 40 there, are dispersed all in the same area, but I can tell them to be linearly dispersed between 0 and 100 on the curve, right? Cool. Yeah. That's something you'd have to really work on, getting something like this with other software. It's pretty it's a really neat feature. So let me scale this up like this, and let's just make the body quickly of the tank primitive polygon mesh. Let's get a cube and scale it down a bit and move it up and make it look as cartoony as possible. Okay, maybe take this poly and scale it as such, the whole element, and scale it. Let's go into shaded mode with wireframe unshaded. Okay, so here's our little tank. Let's assume that we want to move it forward. Now, if you're familiar with rigging, since the cubes are going to follow the curve, might as well make the actual body the parent of the curve, right? So now when I move the body, the treads will move. Now the objective is to maybe make the treads move according to the tank's body. So in order to do that, let me just select one and go into the path constraint, and notice that it has its own path percentage where it will follow the curve, right? So let me now play with this somehow. So I want to join the path percentage, link it with the movement of the Z of this element, right? So let me select all those tank treads minus, well, actually, that's it, and play with their constraint, right? They have a common constraint. There's no value here because if I set it to something, they'll all jump to that spot, right? That's why it's not showing anything here. So let me use something really cool called link with. It's also called set driven key in Maya. And I want to join all those values to the cube's position in Z, because it's blue, position in Z as such. Let me link those and say that I'm happy with that relation, and then I'll move the body a little further as such and play with this. Right now I want to tell it, here's another neat feature inside Softimage. I can't just set a new value because they'll all jump to that value, right? But what I can do is say, hey, 10 plus. The plus in the end here means keep your value and add 10. So each one, assuming this one is at 0 on the curve, this one is at 2, this one will go at 10, the next one will go at 12, and so on and so forth. So let me just click enter there. Notice a slight shift, cool, and then set relative values. Let's see how that works. Good, we have some motion, but it's not going the right way, so let's go ahead and fix that. We want to right click here and then go to animation editor, and actually let me select all the elements. And so basically you'd fix that in the F-curve editor quickly by clicking 0. Here's all the curves of those elements. First things first, I want to make those curves look as linear as possible. I don't want the ease in and the ease out. And then I'm just going to play with the angle. So if they're going the wrong way, whoop, let me just lock that here. Yep. If they're going the wrong way, then the angle should go towards the other side, right? So let me just lift this up a bit. Let's test this out. Better. Maybe exaggerate a little more, and put the curves to be linear so they don't end. Let's test that again. So there you go. Let's exaggerate a little less. Great. So that gives you an idea of the rigging capabilities inside Softimage a little bit. You know, the general workflow, pretty much everything is well contained in the operator stack. As you can see, if I click 8 to open the Explorer, here's the constraints are there. Can always edit stuff, go back, modify, go back to the path constraint and move that. So it's really intuitive the way it's built. Let's look at some should I go? Let's look at some animation quickly, and then we'll go into ice. So let me open a recent scene. Let's look at this one. This is a animation scene I did not too long ago. Yeah, I rigged the element. All right, doesn't end there. All right, so I'll show you the general workflow. I've already gone ahead and told the software what I want to be keying, which are these controllers here. So in essence, I just have to select it here and set the keying mode to key character key set. That's for characters. And let me just set a little feature there. Current character set. So this basically shows me all my poses. So in the beginning, if you are familiar with animation, you want to build animation by posing your character and not necessarily just going with a straight ahead method. So in essence, you're really dealing with animation in a 2D perspective, like cartoonists do. So for that frame, you say, hey, I want my character to look this way, go a little bit further, I want him to look this way, and so on and so forth. So let me just go somewhere like here. Okay, now notice that, let me just end it at 215. Okay, so right here. So the way it works with animation is let's go right here and let's say, hey, I want to add a new pose where I'm really exaggerating the character's foot, perhaps. Whoop, there's a up vector issue right there. Let me just find the appropriate element that controls the leg. No, it's the other one. All right. So what you're doing in essence is just posing the character according to that frame, and yep. And let's just go ahead and exaggerate this a bit. I'll really exaggerate a lot just so you can see the change. I'm pretty sure the box is controlling the arms at this point. Yeah. So let me rotate the box, and that'll control the IK chain over here. Okay, and maybe rotate the whole body. Okay, so as soon as I'm happy, I just have to click K, and that'll set a new key over here. So there we go. There's the new key that I just set. And that's basically the workflow when you're animating. At the end, once you're happy with the pose to pose and with adjusting the actual pose's timing, assuming this one happens a little too early, you can delay it by bringing it further back, and also deal with the F-curve editor, which is here. This is one pose, this is the next pose, and and I can move those back or forth to control the timing. So when you're dealing with animation, it's mostly the pose versus the pose values versus the timing, and you want to get the timing, the pose right, then you want to get the timing right, and then you want to add those offsets and details and stuff. And that's actually the next step. So the next step would be to actually take all of my pose to pose animation, and I can't see the cursor for some reason there, but anyway, so and then change that to spline, and that'll make it a little more fluid. And the final step is to really go in, and that's what makes all the difference, and in essence control the things like the up the handles as such, make the peaks to really show impact and stuff like that. I'm just giving you an example. So yeah, that's it for animation. Let's quickly move on to, I'm trying not to make this too boring, which is why I'm actually opening existing scenes. Let's look at some stuff I've done with ice here. Actually, yeah. All right, awesome. Let me go to, this is my Vimeo page, and where was, okay, there's my videos. Let me just locate some videos where I've used ice to make stuff. Okay, here's an example. Yep, let's click play. This scene I did while I was practicing with ice. It's basically a stadium, and there's a wave going on. All right. So this was done with ice. Let's look at another instance. This one here is where I moved my camera a little closer.
Like most real stadium waves, that one actually ends.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's about 70,000 characters in here. Let's see. I'm sure there's another one. Oh yeah, I just passed it. There it is. Oh, I want to select this one. This is another example of something I did with ice. So back in 2011, believe it or not. Yeah. So in essence, this is a grid with uh, black spheres on the actual grid, and according to where the actual 3D text is moving, that's going to be the trigger to change the black spheres onto a yellowish color, as you can see here. I can show you very rudimentary scenes of where I've uh, used to practice that before actually creating the scene. Let me go here and select. This may take a pause it here. File, recent scenes, particle timer states. Okay, let's just look at like this is for the stadium. Actually, let me get file open. This is for the LED effect. So for the LED effect, just imagine if this was actual text, like a letter T, for instance. So it's going across, and they're changing color. Of course, on the on the original scene, it's a little more elaborate because they're staying before changing a little bit, just to add to a little bit of realism. But this is a good sample scene to basically understand what's going on. So here I've gone ahead and select the ice tree, and which is in essence a point cloud. let me refresh here. So this is what's going on. It may look a little bit complicated, but it's not all that complicated. So in essence, what I'm doing here, most of the work is being done on this node. And this is an add point node. I can just locate it in here. Add point, there it is, and just drag and drop it in here if I would need it. So in essence, I'm adding a point, not necessarily to a grid, but specifically to the grid point position. How do you do that? You go into Explorer inside the actual grid's properties and locate the asset that you really want. So there it is, point, what is it, point position again. So point position, there it is. So there we go. So according to the point position, we're adding a point, right? And that, in essence, what we're doing here with a simple condition, we're saying, so here's the actual trigger. So test inside geometry. Test if the point is inside the geometry, right? So inside which geometry? Inside the cube, right? So how do you do that? Just locate your cube via the Explorer. If you click 8, drag and drop the actual cube in there, and then just link it here, right? Everything is node based, and it's really well done because you can go inside and discover all the guts of the actual tools. So you're never really limited because you have all those low-level nodes inside that you can edit also. So in case you don't really like the way that a tool behaves, you can really go inside and modify it. Okay, so like here's the align particle to position, which I really didn't use in this instance. So actually you can go inside and keep going inside whenever you see a little E. Keep going inside and see what that's made of. So you can, in essence, even learn a little bit about math by actually analyzing the tools. They're not just there, they're there for you to discover, because you can really go inside. Inside this increment rotation with 2 vertices, you can go inside and really see what's going on, which is kind of interesting. So let's see what's going on here. So in essence, this is a little bit. So there's an execute node. Execute, all it does is just give me several ports instead of just one here. So I am in essence putting the changing the shape. The shape here is a box, and the shape here will be a cone most likely. There we go. So according to the position of the cube, so if the cube is inside, it is inside the is in the point. If the is over the point, let's say the volume of the cube is affecting the point, then if true, it will do this. It will change the color, shape, and size to the box. As you can see here, the orange elements are boxes, and if it's not, then it will change it to the cone. And here I'm just playing with the orientation, where this is basically changing the orientation. That was important also for my crowds. So that's about it. That's as simple as it gets. Usually you have a trigger, and something happens according to the trigger, right? And the box is the actual trigger here. So let's look into another scene, which is just a little more elaborate, but states are like a step ahead of conditions. Let's take this one. Yeah, this is a particular scene that I was trying to just analyze when I was learning how to deal with states. So states are kind of cool inside Softimage. They resemble a lot what you do in programming, where you can have a complete program running in this state and another complete program running on this state, and then according to the triggers, change states inside the actual state. So let's take a quick look at what's going on here. So we have emit from geometry. So we're emitting particles according to the grid. Good. So here's the state machine. This is a node necessary when you're just dealing with states. And let's discover the first state. What's going on here? So because this is state 0, it will automatically do this state. So what are we doing? We're starting a timer, setting the particle shape to box. So let's see what's going on in the beginning. Okay, so yeah, here's a trigger. This is important. Test particle position. We're testing if the position goes to 2 in the y-axis, right? We're telling execute on trigger 1. Let's just go inside and say, hey, what is it executing on trigger 1? Change state on trigger 1. Oh, it's state 0. So it's basically acknowledging itself. So particle shape here, box. So basically, when it reaches 2 units up, right, it will execute this here. It will start a timer and also set the shape to a box. So when it goes to up to 2 units, it changes to a box, and most likely these disks here are set inside here. So by default, it'll shoot out the disks, and then because of my test here, which is the trigger, it will tell it to execute all this stuff. Okay, so here's another trigger on the same state. So trigger 2. So we're actually testing the timer this time. So this timer here. So after they change to boxes, it'll also start a timer for 2 seconds, right? So 2 seconds later, it'll trigger the second one here. So let me go inside the state, and what are we changing state on trigger 2? This is the trigger 2. We're telling it to look at state 1 when that happens, right? It's a little bit hard to understand. So where is the state 1? This one, as we said, is state 0. This one here most likely is state 1. So what are we doing in essence? We're just setting the particle color, as you can see here, to blue. So here we go. There we go. So 2 seconds later, after these boxes get generated, we're setting those to blue because of this timer, which is set to 2. So if I were to set it to 1, they will change to blue a lot faster. Yeah, so that's in essence what I used to create my ice tree for my characters, which I deal with states, and I'm basically triggering different animation according to the states using things like timers and stuff. And I think that's it. Let me just stop the